She harasses us on the phone. She calls us all the time.
Jerome, get me my violin.
I just
so I can play a tune to this.
And he had his pants down.
That is a lie. When I
walked into the bathroom, Your Honor, his pants was down, and he quickly tried to pull them up.
Oh.
Judge Lauren introduces the case of Ms. Benskin, who believes that Mr. Haskett is the biological father of her 4-year-old daughter, Kingsley. She gives a reason why she wants to prove that he is the biological father. On Judge Lauren's request, Ms. Benskin sheds more light on the situation. She explains the issues Mr. Haskett experienced with child support, as well as his current state. Mr. Haskett confirms what Ms. Benskin said, and his girlfriend steps in to explain further.
You are here to prove he is her father before he gets locked up for unpaid child support. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Benskin claims Mr. Haskett has had several opportunities to conduct a DNA test, but he never showed up.
But now you are behind in the child support,
Yes.
and you could go back to jail again for failure to pay child support, but you still don't believe you're the child's biological father.
No.
And to this date, Kingsley is 4 years old. You have never had a DNA test.
No.
And he's had two times to do it, and he's not done it. He could have come to the hospital. I told him the day I was getting induced, the day she would be here, and everything. And I even told him Margaret was more than welcome to come.
Mr. Haskett then gives a funny reply.
They never showed up. I had to have an emergency C-section because she
Do
couldn't
you
breathe.
remember her reaching out to you to come to the hospital, Mr. Haskett?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, Lord, how did I know that?
Judge Lauren asks Ms. Benskin and Mr. Haskett about the history of their relationship. Ms. Benskin tells the court what she believes, but Mr. Haskett says otherwise.
But now you are behind in the child support,
Yes.
and you could go back to jail again for failure to pay child support, but you still don't believe you're the child's biological father.
No.
And to this date, Kingsley is 4 years old. You have never had a DNA test.
No.
Ms. Benskin explains their relationship status as at the time she realized she was pregnant. She says she tried to tell Mr. Haskett, but he did something that made the audience react.
So you were in this sexual relationship. It wasn't a commitment. You all weren't boyfriend and girlfriend.
No.
How long after this did you realize you were pregnant?
6 weeks and 3 days.
Okay, 6 weeks and 3 days. And at the point you found that out, did you contact Mr. Haskett?
More than once, and I got blocked on Facebook. I called his family members, and they knew everything about it, and they are still in Kingsley's life. He just chooses not to be.
The judge asks Ms. Benskin if she was seeing anyone else when she conceived her daughter. She lies.
So was he the only guy you were having sex with at the time?
Yes, Your Honor.
No.
I had an ex-boyfriend prior to this, but it was a month or two before I even started talking to Brandon.
Mr. Haskett's girlfriend claims she has proof to shed more light on the issue. Despite this claim, the girlfriend only brings in a text message as proof. The judge figures out Ms. Benskin lied about another issue.
I was at the bar, and I'm talking to this girl. She's one of my friend's friends. We're sitting here, and she realizes that, oh, Brandon's my child's dad. And she's like, oh, well, I know so-and-so. And she already had 2 guys tested that she claims that she got Brandon because he has to pay child support on this kid that he don't even know if is his.
And that's a lie. I've never been to court other than with Brandon, and he didn't show up.
Judge Lauren speaks about her disapproval for this and the effect it might have.
Well, we do know now you don't have to go to court to have a DNA test.
Yeah.
So did you test anybody else?
No.
Yeah, I have proof where she says
If
that she
they
did.
would have tested,
I'd like to see that.
If I would have tested somebody else, then child support would have been dropped because I didn't order child support. Court did.
Judge Lauren reads out the results of a DNA test. She further advises Ms. Benskin and Mr. Haskett. She also encourages Mr. Haskett to speak for himself and not hide behind the shadow of his girlfriend.
When it comes to 4-year-old Kingsley Benskin, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Haskett, you are the father. You are the father. I can see you love Mr. Haskett. I can see you have no problems with being in a relationship with Kingsley. But I do want you to allow these 2 people an opportunity to figure out what the visitation, what the co-parenting situation will be like. And that means, Mr. Haskett, you got to step up and speak for yourself so you can be there for your child. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
The audience reacts as Judge Lauren introduces this case immediately as one where Mr. Redmond owes more than $10,000 in child support. He claims his 2 teenage daughters are not his.
Mr. Redmond, you currently owe more than $10,000 in child support for the defendant's 2 teenage daughters, LaQuandria Redmond and Kaisha Redmond, who you say are not yours. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Patterson, however, claims to be 100% sure the girls belong to Mr. Redmond.
Ms. Patterson, you say you are 100% certain that both girls are his daughters, and you cannot wait to prove the truth today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Redmond presents evidence in court and explains it, but Ms. Patterson denies the evidence. She gives the real reason their marriage ended.
Monitor.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, as you can plainly see, her and her friend was in the bathroom, and he had his pants down.
That is a lie.
When I walked into the bathroom, Your Honor, his pants was down, and he quickly tried to pull them up, and she stood up.
That is a lie.
What?
Yes, Your Honor.
That is a
This
lie.
is when you all were dating?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh.
I taught my oldest daughter how to walk and potty trained them, Your Honor. I was the one who fixed the formula because she didn't know how.
Mr. Redmond believes he is a better parent, and he says why. The judge then brings in the girls, Kaisha and LaQuandria. She asks them about the relationship with Mr. Redmond. They explain to the court the kind of person he is, and claims he was never there and didn't fulfill his responsibility as a father.
Nothing at all.
Really?
Yes.
And you've been told this is your father?
Yes, I have been told that he was my father, but this is my father right here because she has been here my whole entire life.
LaQuandria bursts out in anger, crying, and states how all he said was a lie.
He's nothing to me.
And so I want to hear from you, Kaisha. How has this affected you? I see the tear. Has it hurt you growing up without a father?
When we was homeless and we had nothing, we called him and he never gave us nothing when we asked for money or anything. Nothing.
Judge Lauren then speaks to Mr. Redmond, stating his lack of emotions as his daughter LaQuandria speaks.
Mr. Redmond, when you see them here in tears, how does that make you feel?
Well, actually, Your Honor, I don't recollect me not being there for these kids, and I feel like they're being untruth at the moment. I've been there for those kids. I never left those kids. My father has thrown them birthday parties. I have bought them gifts. I have done a lot for these kids, Your Honor.
Well, do you hear them say that they don't believe you've been there for them? They don't feel your presence in their life. They don't feel your protection.
Mr. Redmond goes on to defend himself by saying a statement that disgusts the majority of the audience.
First of all, Your Honor, the kids were kidnapped from me when they were in my custody. She came back and stole the kids from me. She kept them away from me so that I would not be able to have a relationship with these kids. Then I found out when
Why is you sitting here lying?
The judge speaks directly to Mr. Redmond. She then reads out the result of the paternity test.
So, do you believe that these are your biological children?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Everybody clap, please.
All right. You know what? I'm not going to prolong this confusion because in the case of Redmond versus Patterson, when it comes to Kaisha Redmond, Mr. Redmond, you are the father. When it comes to LaQuandria Redmond, Mr. Redmond, you are the father.
Kaisha then talks about her current life situation. Judge Lauren encourages all involved.
We don't need you no more because we grew without you. Like, I'm sorry to say that. I really love you.
I love you too.
But I don't need you. I'm sorry. I'm too old, like.
This is where we begin. It doesn't have to be where we end. You have a myriad of possibilities in this moment. We can't solve all of this today.
This episode opens with a case where Ms. Ritchell is desperate to find out who is the father of her 4-year-old daughter. Mr. Harris and his wife are angry because of what Mr. Harris went through. Judge Lauren asks Ms. Ritchell how she met Mr. Harris, and her reply makes the audience react.
Now, we'll address the potential father number 2 in a moment, but first, Ms. Rochelle, how did you meet Mr. Harris?
I was living across the street from him, and I seen him standing out there, and I was like, oh, he is fine.
Ms. Ritchell claims she got a green light from Mr. Harris about the relationship, but Mr. Harris claims otherwise.
No,
But-
it was just a hookup. That's all it was.
The judge inquires if she informed Mr. Harris about her pregnancy.
And I took a pregnancy test, and it turned out positive.
And so once you had a positive result, did you contact Mr. Harris?
No, I did not.
Did you contact anybody else?
I contacted the other guy.
Judge Lauren asks who signed the birth certificate of her child. Her reply makes the audience exclaim.
And so did this other man sign the birth certificate when the baby was born?
Yes, he did.
Oh, Jerome, let me see that. So this other man was with you through the pregnancy?
Yes, he was.
And he was there at the
whole time.
birth too?
Yes, Your Honor.
And signed the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Lauren further asks Mr. Harris how he ended up paying child support. His wife replies.
I want to hear a little bit more about how you ended up paying child support for a child when you're not listed as the father, but you paying child support. How did that happen?
I really
You
don't
missed
know.
your appointment for your DNA test.
Yeah, that's how it happened. I missed my DNA appointment. I rescheduled it because I didn't have a way to get there. So I had another appointment, but I didn't make that one also. So they just deemed me as the father without actually having
Again,
a DNA.
you were named the father by default because
Yes.
you failed to show up for your DNA test.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Harris explains exactly what happened. The judge then asks how he ended up in jail. Mr. Harris explains emotionally, which made the audience react accordingly.
So you got arrested and you spent how long in jail?
2.5 months. I was a month and a half in Georgia. Then they moved me from Georgia to a hold in Kentucky to where I was there. And also while I was there, I met a person of us, mutual friends, that told me that she's out leaving the child out at home while she's going out and party. She'll drop the child off on other people and stuff like that. And then, and he also told me that it's a possibility I could not be the father.
Judge Lauren then faces Ms. Ritchell, wanting to know if it's possible that Mr. Harris is not the father.
Ms. Rochelle, is it a possibility that he's not the biological father? You yourself let someone else sign the birth certificate.
For one, there was not a lot of people going in and out of my house.
But you did admit that there was one other guy because that's the person that you let accompany you through the pregnancy.
It was the other guy and him. That's it.
Ms. Ritchell replies, and Mr. Harris's wife steps in to explain how she first heard about Ms. Ritchell.
When she first started contacting me on his phone, it was on Father's Day last year, June 15th. That's the day after he went to jail. She kept on writing, Happy Father's Day, love, Jasmine. And I was like, who in the heck is this person? And I never seen.
Because you never heard anything about it.
I never heard anything about her
and
at
you're
all.
his wife.
Yeah, well, I wasn't there, but we were dating at the time.
You were dating.
Yes, but I never heard of her.
Mr. Harris's wife further leaks a secret to the court, but Ms. Ritchell denies it.
Are there any other possibilities? Any other men?
No, there's
She
not.
said there was one, Your Honor.
She told you there was one
Yes.
other?
When we started talking last year, when he was in jail, she never told me who, but she said one other guy besides my husband.
So where's the third guy?
There is only 2.
Did you tell her 3?
No, I did
Yes,
not.
Your Honor.
So this conversation didn't happen?
No, it didn't.
Yes, Your Honor, it did.
She also reveals what she wants from Mr. Harris.
The other guy said that he would step up and take care of her.
And him pay child support too. So you got 2 men.
The judge moves to stating the result of the test.
Mr. Harris, you are the father.